Good. I'm all right here.
Where are you?
My grandmother, so she just had like a little episode. So I know it's a little bit crazy.
Are you in LA right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your grandmother is. Hey everyone! So we're wait. I'm like, what's going on? Hey everyone! So we're live right now. It's gonna be me and Shakira. We're doing things a little bit differently because Eric had to do something prior, so I'm gonna be holding it down right now. And I'm so excited because we have the one and only Shakira in the building.
I think there's more than one, right?
But I'm saying the only Shakira Barrera. You
I
feel
like that.
There's only one. That's all of them. That's like, she's dope. We love her. She sings whenever, wherever. But yeah, you are a breakout star from the Netflix shows Glow, and I did see your work on Bruno as well because I went to the screening, I think, and you did. You're great. You're great. You're great.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell our viewers about yourself. How was good?
Yeah, well, this is a long time coming. Eric and I have been DMing on Instagram, and he's like, I got to get you on my show. Like, I want to highlight you. And I was like, I always feel like I want to be informative. I never just want to do interviews or podcasts or whatever. Like, if I don't feel good energy, so I need to take care of myself. I think right now is a great time to talk because we're accustomed to the coronavirus now. Like, we're home. A lot of us have figured it out. We get it. We know we need to continue to create, which is like why we're doing these interviews like this.
Right.
And yeah, I'm just right now I'm in a space where I'm happy to share with you, and I want to be giving, and I want to be attentive towards, your audience, and, let them know a little bit about myself.
Yeah.
Like you said, I was on Glow. I've been on a lot of TV shows, but aside from that, I'm just a down ass person. Like, I'm just here, like, trying to help, the world and be a philanthropist and a humanitarian. I like to help Nicaragua. They're currently going out through 2 hurricanes, so we don't really have representation here as far as like Nicaraguenses, and the diaspora actually works like very quietly and silently. So I decided just to be outspoken about it. So I've been using the platform to raise money for the victims, and I'm interested in that type of work. So aside from doing that, that's also what I do.
Okay, so originally you are from Nicaragua, or where were you born?
So I was born in Jersey, but I am Nicaragüense. Like, my mom and dad are Nicaragüense, but I was raised by a Cuban woman. So I was raised under Cuban culture.
Oh,
so, that phrase, ni de aquí, ni de allá, like, that's exactly who I am. Like, I never like fit in really. Like, my Cuban friends were like, well, you don't look Cuban. Like, I'm like, well, I sound Cuban. So I feel like I'm Cuban. I know the food. I know the culture. I grew up in a Cuban household. So that's who I was. But like, I have indigenous features. Like, you could tell them I have indigenous in me. So yeah.
So it's like you have best of both worlds, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, the Cuban culture and you are from Nicaragua. So how are those two cultures similar and different for you?
Oh my God. They are night and day. Like,
really?
They are night and day to me. Like, in South.
Yeah, because it's interesting to me because I've never really met Nicaraguenses, but I never would think that they're so different.
Oh my God, it's so different, girl. Yeah, like, if you met my mom and my my grandmother who raised me, she's Cuban, but we're not related by blood. So like my mom met her, and she was like best friends. They were best friends, and they decided to raise me together.
Okay, awesome.
So that's already interesting. Like, we can make a movie off of that.
That's a TV show right there.
We can make a TV show right there. But yeah, we're just night and day. Like, I think I don't know about you, but I've been so interested in learning more about Latinidad, and like how we're not this monolith, especially with the elections and everything going on. I've been researching my indigenous roots, and, just to say, we are so freaking different. Like, if you met my mom and my grandma, my mom is like very soft and soft spoken and shy, but she'll give it to me, you know, if she needs to. But my grandmother's always like on. She's just this cubana. She lives al lado, orgullosa. Ella habla de todo mundo. Like, she's like out loud like that. And my mom is more like on the low. But even culturally, like the flavors are different. Like Cuba has fritanga, and like Cuban culture has like arroz con pollo, viste empanizado. Like we just, even in the way that we eat, it's different. The music is different. In Nicaragua, it's a lot of folclórico, baile folclórico. In Cuba, they have Afro-Cuban dance and salsa. It's like a little bit more lively. But I went to Nicaragua last year and they be listening to bachata, like so there is like a cross.
Okay.
We're definitely not a monolith. Like not side by side, even like when you see us, we do look different.
Okay. So baile folclórico, I haven't heard of that. I'm gonna look it up. So how has that, all those cultures influenced you and your career every day?
Oh my God. Well, I think that we're constantly like trying to find who we are, right? Like we're constantly trying to evolve. So I think that as an artist, it's super important to come from a place of like knowing your roots and your ancestry and like knowing this physical body that you got. You know, you didn't ask for it and you didn't ask to have your upbringing or your mom and dad. So it's so important to like learn the roots so you have a base. Right. And then you start to uncover those layers and see what you're about. Like I've always been told, I don't know about you, but I've always been told growing up, like that I fit in like more with the boys or I had like masculine energy.
Yeah.
I always was so freaking bothered by that because I'm like, I have girlfriends. Like,
but who would tell you that?
Classmates, like older adults, or even my mom, she'd be like, "Tu siempre anda con los muchachos." And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not like intimate with them. I just get along with them better. Like, I just like to eat beer and wings, and so do they. Like, I was always that type of person. But I feel like that comes from, like, I really started to dig into Nicaragua when I started the philanthropy and humanitarian work. And there were these women in the 70s that were fighting against the regime, against Somoza. And if you see pictures of them, there's a documentary called Las Sandinistas. I recommend you just, even if you watch the trailer, it will impact you.
Okay.
Las Sandinistas.
Yeah.
And these women were frontline wearing shit like this. Honestly, but with rifles, AKs next to the men. So I'm like, that has to be where this energy is coming from.
Right.
It's in us. It's like bred in us. So I think that a lot of
what happened? The service. What happened to the service? No, where's the service?
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. Okay. So you're saying that it was embedded in you.
Yes,
so
yes. It's embedded in us. So I think it's important to know, like, hear those trigger words like throughout your life and figure out why that is. Don't get offended, because I would always get offended.
What I do find interesting is that they would say that to you, but I thought that whole energy was just like an East Coast girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because I get that a lot too. You know what I'm saying? Where they're like, "Oh, you act like you're a dude," and I'm like, I don't act like I'm a dude. It's just my energy, you know?
Yeah.
Like I am a girly girl, and I'm like, and I feel like the older I get, I feel more connected to my feminine side, but I also feel like it could just be, I don't think it's so much of a gender thing. I always try to explain that to people. I don't think it's a gender thing. I think it's just that it's an alpha thing. It's not like, it's like, I know what I want. I know what I want to say. And I've always been confident enough to say that. So I can definitely relate to that. Mm-hmm. And I really want to know more about that film, because it really reminds me of, I don't even know if you're familiar with the Maribel sisters who fighting against Trujillo, and they led to the revolution in Dominican Republic, and it was 3 women.
Wow.
Where
is that movie? Like, where is that movie?
That movie's out, but girl, that movie's out. It's with what's her name? Salma Hayek. Mm-hmm. And she we put each other on. This is the type of See, like, this is the type of energy that I'm so used to when it comes to women, right? I'm not very used to. No, we're putting each other on. This is the type of this is the type of energy that I'm so used to when it comes to women.
Yeah.
So it's like, when it comes to women, it's just like, there's so many girls that are just like, I'm this and I'm like that. But anyway, that film was
I feel you.
Yeah, that film was with Salma Hayek and Mark Anthony. And it's
how did you not see this? All right, that's all.
So I'm gonna put you, girl. I'm gonna put you on after this.
I'll get back to you on it, and I'll tell you. It's probably amazing.
So yeah, so how do you channel that energy for your characters? So, like, for example, what I'm trying to ask is, like, if they're asking for a character that's a little more soft spoken and all that stuff, like, how do you channel that?
It's, you know what? It goes back to knowing who you are, right? First of all, sometimes they release these roles and they don't know what they want. They meaning, like, casting, the producers, even the director, they're waiting for us to bring it. So I always say, like, first of all, I avoid the breakdown. Like, what our actors get breakdowns first before we, like, read the script. So it's like a little, like, one sentence log line, and it'll be like, hacker from New York, like, no nonsense. Like, that's always like,
that's always the no nonsense.
Yeah, no nonsense lesbian. It's always the Latinas playing lesbians. But that's really, like, I ignore that breakdown. That's just one example. But if it says soft, I'll read it, but I'll read the sides and what the sides are giving me. I'll read it once and I'll be like, all right, just to understand it. The second time I'll read it as, like, seeing myself in the scene, and then the third time I'll just read it just to see something different. And each time I read it, I think I try to find, like, colors of myself in that character. So I think maybe what they mean by soft could be, like, vulnerability. Like, to me, it might be different. Vulnerability might seem different to me than it would to, another actress, but, who's more soft-spoken or maybe has a higher pitched voice. Like, I think really it just comes down to knowing who you are and, like, giving that performance. And, like, yes, you're not ignoring what they want. Like, if they say soft, you have to find that layer. They want to see that arc. So I think it's just a matter of, like, what's your vulnerability? Like, connecting to that in the script and really taking time to understand that. And those characters actually, they don't come as easy to me, but they're there. I have that inside of me, but that definitely takes longer than, like, hacker from New York. So I'm like, that's really, I could be that yesterday, So I think it's just taking more time and really finding that inside of you,
Do you feel, because I was learning this as I was taking acting classes, that I don't have, like, a large emotional palette, right? I only know, I'm from New York. I only know how to get mad, sad, and mad, sad, and happy. That's it. I don't know anything else. So, would you say that you're someone who wears your heart on your sleeve, or it's just like, are you able to channel that when you're acting?
Well, I'm an open book. I'm an open book. Reason being because I never had, like, sisters or brothers or cousins, like, growing up that I could really tell anything to. So my friends were that. So my mom was constantly like, stop telling everyone everything about you. This is my friend. What do you mean? I have no one to talk to. I can't tell you these things. So I feel like I struggle with that because, as you know, as we get older, you realize, like, you only have, like, 5 friends. You can only count your real friends, like, in one hand.
Yeah.
So that was always something growing up that I struggled with. I still struggle to this day because I feel like, to me, when I tell you about my life, like, that to me means I trust you, right? Like, I trust you and I want to go there with you. And it honestly, it like bites me in the ass every time because it's like that person isn't giving it back to me.
Yeah.
My expectations always fall short because I realize a lot of people are, they're more private. They don't, like, disclose all this information. And I'm just an open book. I'm just like, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And I've always struggled with that. I'm getting better at it.
Well, I don't, I was just going to commend you for being an open book, because I feel like being vulnerable is a perfect way to filter out the people that you want in your life. How the heck are you going to be able to, you know, filter the right people in your life if you're always closed, versus being a filter, you know, being open, and then you can filter the people out. Like, you know what? This person doesn't work. This person is not. And I feel like for me, like I'm trying to be more like that, where I'm just like, hey, everyone, you know, I'm learning that now. And as I'm learning it, like it's kind of helping me, you know, connect with others and stuff like that. Cause this interviewing stuff before, girl, I would have been like, yes, you know, so.
Yeah, no. I get it. I think I think I need a little bit of you and you need a little bit of me. Yeah. Like, we just need to, you know, but I honestly, I think it's just a matter of like taste and awareness. Like, we have to know who it is that we're talking to, right? Like, I can't be an open book with everybody, but if that's my personality, it's something to be aware of. So that's what I've been working on, you know, lately.
Do you feel like it's harder to build relationships with people in Hollywood?
I've gotten to the point where I honestly think that everyone can connect to you and you can learn something from everyone. So I don't necessarily see people like it as Hollywood anymore. Like, it's more like we're gonna collaborate at some point, you know? So I've taken that pressure off of like, this is a Hollywood director. It could be because I just have been on so many sets, you know, not so many, but, you know, I've been on sets where I have experience where now I don't see those people as like Hollywood. I just see them as like, I want to collaborate with this person. Like, how can we make this happen? So I think I've transcended that line already. And even with casting directors, like, I legit will email or DM a casting director and be like, you changed my life. Like, this opportunity has changed. Like, I have a direct relationship with the casting director from Glow. I have people who like literally DM me and say like, Seth Caskey was talking about you today and like how you came into the office and like the whole story of my audition. And I will literally DM him and be like, hey, Seth, like, heard you were talking about me. That's amazing. Like, that's crazy. Like, send me a bit. Like, I'm that person now. Whereas before I was like, you, like, I'm just like, I don't know what to say. Like, say those things. Is that right? Like, this person is a casting director, you know? Now it's like walls are down. Like, this is who we are. And I think that's 2020, right? Like, I think that comes with the climate. Like, we're calling people out. We're holding people accountable. Like, we're being more transparent. And I think it's because, especially us, like Latinas and the Latinx community, we want a voice. Like, we want to be heard at this point. Like, we're just like, come on, like, where are our stories?
Yeah.
We're not all this like monolith, back to this Latinidad thing. I like literally always say it like that because that's the perfect description. Latinidad.
Yeah. Latinidad, what does that mean? You know what I mean? It is interesting about the word, you know, Latinidad and all that stuff, because it's like when the word Latinx came out, I was like startled a little bit because I'm like, what the fuck is that? Weren't we just Hispano? Now weren't we just like this other word? Now with this, weren't we Spanish? Like, it's just like a constant, like, everyone is telling you what you are versus like, you know, figuring it out and just let's stick with a word, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that can be confusing for all of us. And like, if it's gonna be Latinx, let it be Latinx to the day, to like for 50 or 70 or like forever years, you know? But it's just like the constant changing because we are not a monolith and we are so different. Like, even you saying, okay, you're from Nicaragua and Cuban, the Cuban culture and the Nicaraguan culture are completely different. But what brings us together is Spanish. And I feel like in America specifically, it's like, if I live in a building and the person next to me or my neighbor, I don't care where they're from in Latin America, they speak Spanish, we friends, you know? So I think that's the common bond that we do have.
Yeah. I think the whole Latinx thing, like, it still needs to be workshopped.
Yeah.
Like, I think it still needs to be workshopped because, I mean, this is just a cry. We're just crying and like begging people to understand. Like, I think that's what it's about. Like, we're like, look, you're trying to put you're trying to make Latinidad came from Latin America.
Right.
Okay. And it was something that, like, here, they gave white supremacy. I don't want to go into this whole thing, but whatever. White America gave us the name Latin America. So when we immigrate into this country, they can understand us and put us into, like, you know, this category. So we continued that and tried to find ourselves in that. So then it became Latino, you know, or Latinas, but it still comes from something that we didn't create, you know. So that's really us just trying to get past it. Like, we're trying to get past the bullshit, and we created Latinx. Like, we coined that, right? But then doing research, it's still not right, you know.
It's still not. Yeah,
off about it, and it's something that still needs to be workshopped. A lot of people are uncomfortable with it. Look, I say, if it makes the LGBTQ community and my non-binary friends feel comfortable, that's what I'm going to use. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what I'm going to use. It's not that hard. You know, people are pissed off, and it's like, just get over it. Like, really get over it. If it makes people feel comfortable, do it, please. Like, it's not about you. You know?
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, I have this show called Like, Share, Dímelo, and me and Dee were literally having this conversation. Like, the word Latino was to make the Americans more like, okay, this is where we put everybody that speaks Spanish here. And then that's it. We don't have to worry about it. And then I got like a lot of comments of people saying like, they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. That's not even true. Cause it's like, bro, just do your research. You know what I'm saying? And
do your research.
But, you know, again, you know, I think that sometimes you want to enlighten people, but sometimes they have to enlighten themselves. Right. And we could just move forward and just represent the people that need to be represented. So it's like you're saying, like, there's not a representation in Hollywood of Nicaragua. So you pushing forward that is going to be able to give people the opportunities that you had to fight through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like as a Dominican American, that's something that I'm doing, like trying to push forward right now. You know, God willing, you know, we break all these social barriers.
Yeah. You guys,
you
know, let me say, my Afro-Latina is like, I'm worried that we're going to lose you. Because I had a really interesting conversation with my friend who's Afro-Latina. She studied Latin American history. She graduated with her degree in it. So I always call her up when interesting things happen in our community. Like, did you see the Eva Longoria interview? So that whole thing happened. And I think it's like, people are so pissed off. I'm like, fuck yeah, now we can have this conversation. Thank you. Like, let's have this conversation. So I called her and we were talking, and she was just, you know, giving me her experience. She danced for everyone under the sun, and now she's moving on to acting. And she straight up told me, like, I do not fit in our community. There's not a space. Like, literally, I feel like no one knows Afro-Latinos. Like, they don't include us. Like, we don't look Latino enough, or then we look, you know, too Latino because our hair, like, you know, but then we look Black. And she's like, straight up, like, I feel like I just fit in more in Tyler Perry world.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's so sad. We are going to lose our Afro-Latinos if we don't listen to you guys.
Right.
We're going to lose you.
That's the conversation that, girl, I have all the time, right? I remember I was having this conversation with a whole bunch of Latinos that are Dominican, and we all look the same, right? And it's because, you know, obviously the constant of just being born from people that are white and Black, and, you know, freaking the colonization in the Dominican Republic. So immediately outside of New York City, people look at me and they're like, you're Black, right? Then I speak Spanish and they're like, whoa, you're not Black. We don't know where to put you. And then you go to the Latin world and they're like, well, you're not Latin enough. So it's like going to Hollywood and living in LA, I go blue in the face trying to explain. It's like, I'm not white enough. I'm not Latina enough. I'm not Black enough. I'm not this enough. I am me enough. And that's one of the things that I love about New York City, that you could just say, I'm from Nicaragua, and people be like, oh, she's from Nicaragua.
We're multicultural, so diverse. Like, oh, so I'm sure what to call our collective Spanish culture at this point.
Yeah.
I feel you.
That's how I feel too. Absolutely.
I feel you. But Latinx is at least something that we coined. You know, yes, it comes from the bigger, but I think if we're going to use one word, we should try to include our LGBTQ and non-binary, you know, who have been excluded for years.
Right.
You know, who don't feel comfortable with Latina or Latino, like.
Right. And, you know, that's the thing. The reason for Latinx, you know, that's what I thought as well. I was like, oh, to include our, you know, our Latinos that are non-binary. And, you know, so I was like, oh, this is it. Mm-hmm. And then I do more research. It's like, oh, to include the Afros. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, when I was as an Afro, and being a woman, I would still be Latino. Like, it's so confusing, you know? Mm-hmm. And I feel like, you know, I'm always having these conversations. And I remember I was having this conversation with someone, and it's like, oh, here we go. Light-skinned, it's light-skinned Afro-Latinos having this conversation. Oh. And I'm just like, you know, this is what I said. My family, from my mom's side, everyone's darker than me. And that's all I saw. So for as long as I can remember, I relate to myself as Black, right? So I was like, if my light-skinned ass has to push forward this message so that my family can live a better life, then that's what my light-skinned ass is going to do.
Yeah.
And I just hate that constant, like, trying to
I just hate that comparison. Like, the fact that I think it's because people are like, well, how can you know, being white passing Afro, I guess, if we're
like, I don't understand light-skinned.
Like, a white passing Afro-Latina can speak for the, you know, more Black Afro-Latinas. Like, I hate that comparison, because you're right. Like, if you were in that and you've seen your family go through that, how could you not? And you have a platform. How could you not go about talking about an issue that was so close to you?
Yeah.
Like, no one can compare that. That's unfair.
Yeah, and I think that's the, you know, there's so many struggles that we're like, you know, we're trying to push forward, but then there's people that are like, no, we can't do this, we can't do that. We have to keep pushing forward, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there are so many things that I'm still learning. There's so many things that I don't know, but if I don't know something, just tell me about it. Don't just be like, oh, you fucking stupid, because obviously there's certain things that I don't know that I could put you onto, and you know that you can put me onto, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about evolution. We're just trying to learn and grow. Like, I think now it's just talking to each other, but I'm not just talking to my Nicaraguenses. Like, I'm talking to my Afro-Latinas. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we got to transcend this.
Yeah.
It's not just talking to your own people. You know, it's like, we got to talk to each other, figure out what experiences we have, how we feel oppressed, like how we can push past it, like how we become allies. Like, that's really what we have to transcend colorism. We have to.
Right.
We have to.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I think that's why, as a creative, like, you are an actor, you are an artist at the same time, because, you know, when you are playing all these different roles, they get to see someone that looks like, we get to see someone that looks like us doing all these amazing things. And it's just like, if you live in your truth, that's the beauty about it, that it's going to relate. The truth always relates.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, us being able to push forward that message, just like live your truth. Because I think that we've been for so many years that, you know, my dad's always been like, oh, you got to speak like this, or you got to do this. It's always assimilating, which I kind of understand, because it's like, for us to, you know, communicate with one another, we have to speak English properly and all that stuff, so it can transcend or whatever.
Yeah,
I get it. But also, like, I'm not in the mood, or like, I'm not in the place to want to not be who I am.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think your dad is just, you know, telling you to play the game, like most of our parents did. Like, play the game, know who you're talking to, like, be aware. And that's what they went through. But we don't necessarily have to go through that. You know, like, we can choose, especially with our profession and with our career, like, we can live authentically. And I think that's, like, I was talking to my mom, I'm like, I love my generation. I love my generation.
Yeah.
We're so aware. We're so woke.
Yeah.
We talk to each other. We fucking do humanitarian work. Like,
yeah.
I partner with an organization for the 2 hurricanes that hit Nicaragua. And we raised on the online digital community so far, we have raised over $30,000.
Oh my
in
God.
the social digital space. Like,
Oh my God. That's so good.
unbelievable. Like, I've never raised that much money. In 3 days. We did that.
Wow.
We're still taking, donations. I'll tell you guys, if your audience wants to help, like how they.
Absolutely. I wish I knew how to put. Eric is the one who's usually good at putting the banner, but
We'll wait for him, and we could tell him to do it at the end. I know, like, you guys should have like Central Americans and even South Americans or whoever wants to help, like who just has a heart,
yeah.
help. But it's just so crazy. And I was telling my mom all this, and she was like, just blown. She was like, "What? Like, how did this happen?" I'm like, we're living in a new age,
Right.
where you literally nobody's trying to be like, we're suffering and the oppression Olympics. Like, no one's trying to do that. We're just putting ourselves out there, saying what we need, and people are responding. People see themselves in us, and it's important to use our platform and just to represent, like I love what you and Eric do. And, I hope that we can continue to collaborate and find more ways to collaborate, because that's like really what it's about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so for it. Right now I am trying to find myself even more because I feel more sensitive to everything now. I don't know if it's because of age or whatever, but 20-year-old me is not the same person that I am today, because it's like, I see things from a different lens now. I feel like when you're in your early 20s or even when you're younger, you have this thing where you don't feel your immortality, or is it mortality? You don't feel your mortality, right? It's like, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna do whatever I want. But then, you start seeing the world from a different lens, and you're like, bro, like, people dead ass need help. I am in a place where I can help. Like, this is what we should be teaching our children to be, just automatically. Because I feel like, my parents, they did what they could for us, right? If we see somebody say, no le den nada. Don't give them nada, you know what I'm saying? We starving too, And now it's just like, bro, if I have $1, let me give it to that person. So, like, I want to switch gears a little bit. So, being an actor and doing these things, has this always been a dream for you?
It's so funny. I never considered myself like a dreamer in that sense. And I'm not talking about like, this has nothing to do with like my DACA, people.
Yeah.
I'm about like a dreamer in the sense of that I could really see clearly, like, I want to buy a house for my mom on the beach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I see myself with like a husband and 2 kids and really successful doing movies with like Michelle Rodriguez. I've never seen myself like that. The more I do, the more I see. That's always me. Like, when I get somewhere, I'm like, oh shit, I'm here. Like, now what? Like, there gotta be something more, right? Like, we gotta go higher. So I'm that person. Like, I don't know until you know. But now the more that I talk to people and the more that I see like how we are transcending, race on television and in film, like we're coming, now I see more possibilities. But when I was little, my mom didn't know that acting was a job, as most of our parents, didn't know either. They always try to send you to doctor or nurse or whatever.
Yeah.
Even when I was younger, my mom was like, you need to marry a doctor with blue eyes.
What? Blue eyes?
Yeah.
That's a recessive gene.
I'm like, wow, they're trying to mejorar la raza, like real shit, So I don't know. I think I was always trying to fight against that blueprint because it never seemed right for me. So I danced. I've been dancing since I was 3. I can dance anything. Salsa, ballroom, jazz, tap, like everything. I used to compete in Jersey. And then I think in 2019, I entered a Fantana contest. They were like looking for the 4th Fantana, and it was a nationwide contest, and I won. I was in college, and I won. I won the fucking contest, and they flew me to LA first time I saw Santa Monica, and I was like, oh my God, there's palm trees in other places besides Miami. Like, I've never seen it, you know? And then I auditioned in front of Chili from TLC. She was like an executive at Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
I like sang, danced, and acted. You know, it was like a scripted, like, Santana's back, like something like that. And I was up against these like two beautiful girls. I'll never forget the girl's name. One of them was Destiny Moniz. She was Hawaiian, skinny, like blue eyes, like gorgeous out of a freaking magazine. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get second. Like, you know, like I'm gonna get second place. And then they ended up picking me. And I like became the fourth Fanta girl, a campaign, billboards like in Los Angeles. I was on the bottle. It was nuts. And I was in college and I just realized like I had serious ass imposter syndrome where like even when I got the job, I was like, no, like they made a mistake. There's 3 supermodels here. Like, what am I doing? You know, I'm not this. And I just started to work on that and really accept like, wow, this is your job. People believe in you. People want you to succeed. And then that forced me to look at the future and start to see like, okay, that doer thing, right? That dreamer versus doer. I was like, wow, I'm here. Now what? And that's when I decided to move to LA. And I was like, I feel like the palm trees are calling my name. Like, there. We need to figure this shit out.
So when did you fall in love with acting, since your first love was dance?
I think I fell in love with acting. Well, first through MJ's like Thriller. I know that seems like so like more of a dancer thing, but just I fell in love with the making of Thriller. Like all that process, like putting prosthetics, him like being this werewolf, the girl, I'll never forget the girl who was with him, you know, that with her pink ribbon and her jock jacket, like that whole process of making a movie, I think really got into my brain. Like I was like, oh, this is a thing. Like this is a creative process and I want to be a part of that. So I think that the whole making of Thriller was like really for me where I got to see like the behind the scenes of how things work. And then the first movie that really like impacted me was Center Stage. When I saw Zoe Saldana walking into that American Ballet Theater, I was like, that's me. I would be late. I would be chewing gum. My hair wouldn't be in a perfect bun. Like I don't have perfect feet. Like that's me. And I think that was the first time where I was like, I feel like I can do this. And then she started to transcend, you know, race and color. She's done Avatar, Guardians of the Galaxy, Star Trek. Like it's unbelievable. Her career is unbelievable. I've always been inspired by her.
Is she someone that you look up to in the acting world? But like, who else are the other people that inspire you to be great?
Frances McDormand, I think is phenomenal. I love Viola Davis. I think she's so raw and real. And like, we were talking about like authenticity and like that thing, that believability, like she has that. Like you can see everything she's been through, you know, every word means something to her. I love that. As far as men, Mahershala Ali, I would love to work with him. I think he's so raw and amazing. Such a storyteller. There's so many people that I want to work with, but I think it's just for me, I want to work with people that will make me feel like shit because then I learn, you know, and then I'm like, shit, I got to catch up. Like I always want to be on my toes.
Yeah.
Always. Like I always want to be like, how do you do that? Like, how can I get there? Like, I always want to be in places where I never feel like I'm relaxed.
Okay. So you're getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
I love that process. I love that. I read, I don't know if you read Brené Brown's like book on vulnerability, but it was,
I haven't.
Oh my God, it's amazing. She has a TED Talk too. If you want to look it up.
I'm writing it down right now. I'm putting it on notes.
Write it in notes. It's amazing. It's about vulnerability. And she just goes into it, and I don't know. At the end, hi.
Hey, I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
How's it going? By the way, you both look amazing on camera. I kept looking at myself like, what am I doing? I'm about to jump on this live.
Yeah, we're having a great conversation. Like for sure. I'm learning so much. what would be an advice that you would give to people that are starting off in their journey?
Yeah. I love this question. Well, I could give the typical, like, don't listen to what anyone says, like, figure yourself out. Like, yes, please do that part. I think for me, the most important part, especially as an artist, is to be practical with yourself and like where you're at, like, I think class is there for a reason. Like, I would be in class and I would honestly like look at the best girl in my class and be like, how are you close to that? Do you get her process? Like, where am I at? Because I feel like we don't get report cards anymore. Like, we went to school and they used to be like A, B plus, C, you know what I mean? And we could see our progress. Like, I feel like as an adult, you have to give yourself your own report card, and be like, in acting, like, I'm a D. Like, I need to, study a little bit more. I feel like being practical with yourself is so hard as an artist because we're sensitive about our shit, Yeah. We're super sensitive and we get super defensive and we like care so much and so deeply that I think it's sometimes hard to see past that, so being practical with yourself, like really where you're at, like who you are, like if you need to study, if you need to, work a little harder, like just be practical with yourself. So, like you can track your progress and where you're going.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to hit you with two follow-ups here. Number one, does it get frustrating? Because I love what you're saying, and I agree. Like I've been in the classes and stuff, but doesn't it get frustrating for you? Because I know how I feel about it. When you're like, I gotta be A plus actor, and then you see people who are like C minus making it, and you're like, what the? Come on.
Yeah, you know what? It used to. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, hell yeah. Like sometimes I'm like, that person didn't work half as hard as I did, but if honestly that's the cards we're dealt. Like we were having a whole conversation about like, us being Latina and all this, like even in the J-Lo just got presented this icon award by, I don't know if it was Critics' Choice or MTV, whatever. I saw her speech and she was like, as a Latina and as a woman, we got to work twice as hard. So it's like, it's kind of the cards that you're dealt, Yeah. Like I don't even look at it that way anymore. Like, I'm like, I want to work hard. Right. I don't feel all that. So when I get there, it feels like I won the lottery.
Yeah. See, that was the second part to my question is like being Latino, Latina, like you could be like, oh, just be practical, go to class. But we got to go twice as hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, my whole life, there's been clues that I got to go twice as hard. When I was in school, they told me I could never get into this school that I wanted to go to Duke University at one point, but I graduated from Rutgers University. But my dean or my counselor in my high school, like literally looked at me and laughed in my face. And she was like, you're never going to get in there. Wait. And it was the first time that I like dead ass, like had a superior, who I looked up to and admired, tell me that. So I've had clues along the way, teachers that would put me in boxes. Like I went to theater school, but I was never cast really in a play with a speaking role. So I never had the opportunity to find my voice. And I went to high school and studied theater. I was always like the dance captain, and they always had like there are certain girls who were the leads of the theater play. Like I think along the way, life God throws you who you need, and you got to figure that out. Like, what lesson is this? Or like, it's always about you.
Right.
Your interactions always tell you things about you. Your relationships always tell you things about you. So, no, like along the way, I've been told I can't do so much, and I've already transcended what those people, have said. So,
by the way, how bad did that counselor start giving you other school options? Like, look at DeVry, maybe
DeVry. Yes, you need to go to Montclair. And I was like, well, I'm going for dance, so that's really hard. Yeah. Just letting you know. It's really hard. You can't point your toes like I can, so. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
that's real shit.
Yeah. It's hard as a person of color, as a brown or black person. Like, it's hard up in here. It's hard. We gotta. That's why I think like the work is something no one can take away from you.
Right.
the work. No one knows what work, how many hours Eric has done comedy and, you know, workshop jokes. Like no one knows that. Like Sasha struggles like trying to represent Afro Latinidad. Like no one knows like the work that we do, but we do. And that's something that people can't take away.
Right. I'm getting, look at this. I really enjoyed the ladies on their own. And you know what? That's what happens when I show up. See? I'm getting heckled. By my
Hilarious.
That's so funny.
So I don't want to re-ask questions, but like, have you guys discussed like what's next for you? Because I know you had Glow. I know you're constantly working on stuff. I see you. I've seen your dance video. I'm like, she's getting ready for something.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. There's so much that I want to work on, but like, I'm auditioning like crazy. By the way, like there's so many opportunities right now. I have to say it's probably the busiest I've ever been auditioning, like madness. It might be because I just got off of Glow, you know, and the opportunities are rolling in and my agents are killing it. But for me, honestly, what I would want next is like a physical role, because I feel like my body is like ready for that. It's like calling for that, you know, and I'm probably not going to be 6 years old, like doing the things that I was doing on Glow, but I feel like I want to do something physical. Like, I don't know. I was telling Sasha, I love like Zoe Saldana's work, like doing something like that, where I did a video game recently. I did Far Cry and and I was in a motion capture studio with these like helmets and those like really tight one pieces with the, you know, motion capture stickers on them. Oh my God, loved it. I loved that. Like I did my own stunts there. They had a stunt team, but I was like, can I do it? And they were like, yeah. And it was like theater. It was like a live theater. It was a chance that I never got in high school.
Look at that. Even better, because now they're going to play you on the game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like that. I like that world of physical. And I also like really, really gritty dramas that make you rethink your life.
Right.
What's this? It's this little commercial. Oh, you're putting on a little Far Cry thing.
A little Far Cry. Somebody in the video game, we got to show what's up.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that just came out. My character gets announced next year.
Oh.
Talk about my character. She's major, and little boys will be and little girls will be playing her in their living rooms. So I'm super excited about that. I can't tell you guys more about it, but it'll get announced next year. And she's a badass. I just have to say that.
Right.
She's a badass.
I want to know, how are you staying in shape during the pandemic?
I'm kind of cheating because I have a personal trainer. So I'm like kind of cheating and not working out at home. So I've been in pretty good shape.
Oh, that's so good.
I know. And I I have friends that were super intense. Actually, please hold. I'm going to bring what I won on my 60-day fitness challenge. Please hold.
60-day fitness challenge.
She just made me feel bad because I was like, I run like here and there. She did a 60.
Dude, 60 days. That's a dream for me.
There's some mornings.
That's a dream.
I try to run some mornings. I've seen you on Instagram, like, you did what? Good for you. But there's someone. There's someone I sit there and I stare at my sneakers.
Look at that. You the champion.
60-day fitness challenge champ. Okay. That's how serious we go. Yeah. I don't know if you could see that, but
I love it.
As a tribute to Kobe, you know, purple and gold.
Love it.
And it, that's how serious we are about like our challenges. If y'all want to join, just saying.
Sasha, you down? We're gonna do the next 60-day challenge. We're gonna show them up.
I need to go to the gym right now.
Hold on.
We don't feel bad for not going to the gym.
Before we sign up, is it 60 days in a row, or is it like?
Oh, it's 60 days in a row. What do you think? You take a break? Like,
okay. I didn't know if you took weekends off, and then.
Have you taken a break after the 60-day, or you're just like, that was nothing. I'm gonna do 60 more days. Is that what you're doing right now?
No. I'm like, because I'm serious about it. So I'm like, I diet. So as soon as I hand in, we do in-body scans and everything. Like we go to our local gym, we get an in-body scan, we see how much fat we have, like how much muscle mass, like we be going hard. So the day after I hand in my scan is over. I'm eating, it's over.
I feel like I hurt my self-esteem. Like how much fat I got. That thing's broken. That's broken. That's stupid. I don't want to play this no more.
Eric, you're skinny. Get out of here. You're in shape.
I'm really trying. I'm barely in shape. My boyfriend, he's like, he works out a lot, and like, we're in New York right now, and I'm telling my friends like, oh, I'm gaining weight, like I'm gaining weight, and then they're looking at him and they're like, oh, you getting too comfortable. He's like, no, that's her. And I'm like, fuck, I need to.
He's not letting you get comfy. So
no. Because then he'll leave me. But anyway, so I am gonna be in shape. Like I'm gonna try. I'm trying. Like
when's the next 60-day challenge start? We're gonna start
January.
February?
January.
We're doing this.
So new year, new goals. January.
All right, well, I'll do it.
Why not? You have to lose. You don't got nothing to lose.
No, you're right.
Yeah, and if you do well, it's like you were back to normal.
Sasha saying yeah, like when you could tell she really don't want to do it. Yeah, oh yeah, no, you're right. I got moving things around.
I can't lie about Pisces.
All right, before we let you go, I do want to talk about some of the work you're doing in Nicaragua. I don't know if you guys have touched up on it. Central America was hit with hurricanes. I was actually just sent an article, because I'm half Guatemalan, like the corruption going on there on top of the hurricanes. But I did want to talk to you because I know you've been on the war path trying to raise funds and stuff. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah. So like you said, 2 hurricanes hit. We slightly touched on it earlier, but I was telling her that Nicaragua doesn't have a lot of help. So there's a whole political system that I'm not going to get into. But if you're interested, just, look that up on your own. But I'm trying to avoid that for safety purposes. Right. So what's happening now is we're trying to collect donations monetarily. I do have a woman that you can send something to her warehouse. She has like a list of things. I can give you guys that as well. But I'm working directly with Chavalos _org, and they're on Instagram. Yeah, and chavalos.org is just the website that you can go to. So far, we've raised a little bit over 30 grand, but we're working with an organization that's on the ground in Nicaragua. So I bring up the political system because people are like, well, can I just send like a donation? You can't, because law enforcement will take it. That's how it pretty much is in any Central American country, but especially Nicaragua. So I just have to point that out, that if you guys are like looking and interested and your hearts are open to helping, just, choose Chavalos organization. We are working with an indigenous group on the ground. There are these 5 badass warrior indígenas, Afro-Latinas who are on the coast, and we're sending them money, and we have a whole system of how they even get that money. It's a long process. Like, as you guys know, it's the second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. So sometimes we can send money through Western Union. They'll be in line all day and they'll run out of cash. So like it's difficult. So we have like a whole system of how we're doing things and making sure the funds get to them. So just make sure, if you're gonna donate to Nicaragua, to choose Chavalos _org on Instagram, or you can even go on my Instagram at Shakira Barrera, and I have easy steps to donate there.
Awesome. So yeah, make sure you guys check that out. There she is right there. She's talking about on CNN.
Yes, I know. That was crazy. Live TV is crazy.
Yes.
So yeah, go check out her Instagram, and then also like she said before, it is chavalos.org.
Mm-hmm. Chavalos with the. Isn't it Chavalos?
I thought it was Chavalo. The website I just pulled up was chavalo.org.
Oh, you're right. Oh, look at Eric.
I try to do this research. Research.
I like it.
So yeah, feel free to donate. I know I saw you talking about. I made a donation, and then But I guess somebody saw I made a donation. Then they were like, "What about Guatemala?" I was like, "Well, now I got to donate there too." So we got to
do what we can
on the organization. Just make sure, because a lot of people are donating to American Red Cross, who is at the coast, but 50% or something crazy to the government. So you want to make sure the people are getting it.
Yeah. So make sure you guys donate, and then go follow Shakira. She's a badass. We're gonna me and Sasha gonna try to win this belt.
You gonna come for my belt?
What's good?
Someone already probably.
I'll be there next year.
I saw her face keep coming. She's gonna back out. She's like, "Listen, I don't know if I want the belt. Maybe a question."
Oh my God.
No, I gotta do it.
You have to. I'm gonna put you in a group chat, and that's it.
That's
it.
Send me.
Shakira, you're amazing. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm sorry I was late, but
it's all good.
We're gonna do this again.
It's fine.
You are a rock star, and I'm wishing you nothing but the best with future endeavors.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep that being out there repping Central America. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I look like one of those guerrilleras right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
look good. I love it.
Thank you for having me. This has been amazing, and I'm really happy that we got to collaborate.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, take care, and thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you again next week.
Yes. Bye.